Good evening, citizens, and welcome to another episode of the Shattersong LARP Diaries. I'll be joined by my illustrious co-host, Amber,
Hello.
and today we're going to be talking about Menhirs Fate, specifically Menhirs Fate event number 2 for 2025. And unfortunately, this is not an episode where we can give you our two perspectives of our experiences. And why is that, Amber?
Unfortunately, the weekend of Menhirs Fate Part 2, I was chasing Mickey Mouse around France with a stick, and that mouse got the better of me. So I was out of action for this event. But I'm going to live vicariously through you, and I'm going to grill you at your time. Uh, so yeah, let's go. I'm very excited. I've purposely not asked you questions about it. I'd like to hear about it.
Gotcha.
Where would you
Uh,
like to start?
and you said you were chasing a mouse with a stick, right?
Yeah, I'm not allowed back in France for a very long time.
Gotcha. And you said Mickey Mouse got the better of you. Is that,
He did.
uh, as in, was this a fight? Was this a love affair where he dumped you, or did you dump him? Like, how did it happen?
I was trying to make it a love affair, but apparently chasing people with sticks is, it's not how the kids do it these days. And then Mickey Mouse took the stick, and it was just a very different outcome. Would not rate it. They call it the place of love. It is the place of broken dreams and a long time stuck in an embassy. Um,
And you got out
which
using
wasn't
a.
fun.
Did you use your usual mix of charm and Krav Maga to break out again?
The trademark Amber ritual. Yeah, we did.
Fantastic. So yeah, we today now that Amber is out of French prison, we are going to be talking about my monstering experience at MF2. We're not going to do the whole big three-parter like we did before. It's been a few weeks since the event, and I want to sort of start at a high level, touch on some like highlights rather than just giving a blow by blow because this time round we'll get into the details a little bit later, but we played, it was a more restricted amount of monsters, and lots of the encounters were quite similar. And I'll describe, once I've described one, I don't need to do all of them. But first, a word from our sponsors. We don't actually have any, but we would like to sponsor Menhirs Fate. Menhirs Fate is currently looking for more players and more crew. So if you like what you hear inside this podcast and you like the idea of getting stuck into a fight in a fantasy world with your mates, then Menhirs Fate is the place for you. We've got a nice long break now until the next event. I think that's going to be in about 10 weeks' time. So it's on the sort of the other side of summer, which gives you plenty of time to get ready, make some kit, make some friends, join a Discord, and of course grab your tickets and get excited. We're very much looking forward to seeing you there if you want to come. And if you want to join us and fight in the crew section, you will become part of a small and elite unit, the bravest of the brave, the boldest of the bold, who will continuously die against the blades of the players for nothing more than their enjoyment. With that out of the way, let's start with the big picture. So, Menhirs Fate 1, broadly, we were run ragged and we got into lots and lots of fights. And whilst it was exhausting, we had a fantastic time. That feedback was submitted to the Menhirs Fate team, and this time we actually had two different members of Game Control. You might know them as Matty and Sol. You might know them as the two co-hosts of the Us Again podcast, or you might just know them as Game
Fantastic
Control.
listen.
The what? Sorry.
Fantastic listen. Big recommend.
Oh, I thought you said plastic lizard. Is what I heard. And I was like, interesting insult. You
Matty,
plastic,
the famous plastic
the
lizard.
famous plastic lizard. Yeah, the those two basically between M1 and M2 got themselves game runner roles. So they were like the hotshots running this. So listen to their cast for a, I guess, overview of what it was like running an event. But if you want to know what it's like actually playing an event and, getting your sword deep in the belly of a rock golem called Crub, then this is the place to be. So I was on the topic of feedback, and this time around, I'm really glad to say, and what I really continuously see and like to see from Men's Fate is that they actually react to the community in a sensible way. They don't overcompensate by listening to everyone and giving them everything, but they also do take on feedback and then they make sensible changes. So what happened this time is the crew were given more breaks. We were given a little less walking up the hill, but not really. I'll touch on that later. And also, we were, in theory, we got a bit more clarity over what we were doing. I'd say most of that hit the field. Some of it didn't, but let's go into, I guess, an event overview and see what that was like. So last time we were playing as Fallen, and this was a very hungry, greedy faction, nasty, frosty, icy kind of vibes as well with black, and fantastic entry baddies. They're not particularly organized, they're not particularly good at fighting, they're just bad and in large numbers. But this time round, we got to play something called the Void. And the Void are based on the Hussite rebellions of I think maybe 14, 1500s. I'm terrible with that period of history, so I might be entirely wrong. But they are based on the Hussite rebellion, so precise shields, lots of crossbows, a bit like a marchery farmery kind of vibe. You know,
Nice.
I guess like a. Would you know what I mean if I said like a man at arms, Agincourt kind of style?
Yeah, I like pikes and flamboyant dress, I'm guessing.
Yeah, like not too flamboyant, but the pike blocks and like the discipline of a medieval army. That was here to play, and that was a lot of fun to play. Before we were all kind of individual warriors. The focus for this event was all about us being the bringers of the end. The end is nigh. Everything is oblivion, and we're going to drag you into it as well. But we also formed very disciplined spear blocks, moved around like an organized regiment, and by the end of the weekend, we were a force to be reckoned with. So we're often wearing heavy armor as well. The calls we have this time is now the player base are getting used to how the combat system works. The monsters are starting to get a bit more difficult, and we had a fantastic time as crew. We got to use crossbows as well, so the first time we were allowed to shoot back at players, which really leveled the
How'd that
field for the
feel?
first day. Oh, dude, it was the first skirmish on Friday evening was to introduce the new guild leader for the Adventurers Guild, and it was like a set piece where she was sort of hacking apart a few of the Void members as the heroes ran onto the field as they got teleported in, and then our regiment marched out afterwards. And what ended up happening is the guildmaster barely got out of their life. I think it was a very close call, and it was thanks to the heroic efforts of the other guildmaster, otherwise known as Ian, charging forward very bravely towards the void and exhorting his fellow adventurers to sort of storm up the fields and attack us, expecting a
Go
bit of a
on,
fight
Ian.
and an intro. Yeah, Ian, proper hero. Um, that didn't happen. What actually happened is the Void got onto the field a little bit quicker than the players. We kind of set up adjacent to the Guildmaster, the new one, and knelt. Formed a big pipe block, and we had four crossbows, myself included, and we started to absolutely pepper the players with shots. TLDR, the players they get a bloody nose. I think they lose 6 characters in the first skirmish
Gosh.
of the event, mainly due to crossbow fire, and one of them even converts and joins us on the field. It was an Udrevan player, I can't
Wow.
remember their name, but yeah, we literally dragged them back, and our priest turned them on the pitch in front of their friends.
That's so fun.
Yeah, it was really cool. So really, really set the scene with cool purple kind of aesthetic, like purple hoods and scarves. And yeah, we won that first battle. Introduced the guildmaster into I guess, with a state of shock of a very near-death experience, and that set us up for.
Imagine if that went wrong.
It nearly did.
Oh no.
It really
Gosh.
nearly did. If the players really did follow Ian's example, if they hadn't, if they'd waited, I genuinely think they might have lost their guildmaster. We actually had to ignore the guildmaster a little bit because otherwise we would have walked on the field and just killed them at the end. But
Or converted them.
Or could, gosh, can you imagine that? A corrupted guildmaster sending players
Guildmaster.
on corrupted quests.
Maybe
Um,
we need to get to Ian.
yeah, we do. Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
put him in a bag, drag him. But yeah, so as you might remember from the last episodes, or indeed Amber, you might remember. I don't know who I'm pitching to here. Am I pitching to the people at home, or am I pitching to you? We'll try both.
well, I'm not listening, so probably them.
How dare you? Gosh. Oh,
Dare you?
anyway, professional attitude. The weekend has the usual split of skirmishes up in the woods and incursions down on the field. And broadly, the player characters who are monstering get used for incursions, and broadly, the skirmish crew get used at the top of the woods. Obviously, there's a mishmash across those two, but that's the vibe. Um, things have moved in Menhirs Fate. Things are now a little bit closer to the camp, so we have to walk a bit less. And the monster tent is right next to the traders, but it's on the other side, so we kind of have a good spot to enter Haven. And when we go up to the woods, we the intention was for us to stay up there for like 4 hours or so. So you'd say, right, we're playing as the Void for 4 hours. You've got a variety of skirmishes, whatever, but go up there, take some kit, and we'll brief you when you get there. You fight for a bit, and when you're done, you come down and have some lunch. Should we do it chronologically? Friday highlights, Saturday highlights, Sunday highlights?
Yeah, me with it.
Yeah, so obviously the first downlight, the first negative is that you aren't there, Amber, of course.
Oh,
Deeply sorry not to have you fighting alongside us, but I had my trusty
players are
companions.
lucky.
Yeah, no, I think we could have used the extra set of hands, the extra bloodthirsty murderer that is evil Amber. We had myself, Dave, Lawrence, and Pete in the combat crew, and a couple other people have moved to different teams. So we had our usual hardcore, and after that first battle with the Void, we were like, oh hell yeah, this is going to be the crew event. We have a few Void skirmishes into the Friday evening, and what's changed from last time as well is that the incursions aren't just blind assaults on the camp that are clearly orchestrated and they're basically just a scrap. They had some feedback that they don't really achieve anything. Some players like them, but they annoy others, and obviously for the crew, it is exhausting. Like I don't want to pretend that I'm not keen to get in a scrap because I always am, but you could probably agree with me, Amber. Walking to the other side of Haven to just enter the camp once and get killed and then walk all the way back is a terrible use of our time. Like it just
Yeah,
takes so
and
long.
it was also quite hard for players to ignore us. So they'd be pre-prepared for us coming in, which was always a bit deflating. They're supposed to sort of act like they can't see us, but people are reaching for their, swords and stuff before you've even got halfway down, um, which was always a bit like, oh, guys, come on, please, give us a chance.
Yeah, it was a bit better this time around, but still suffered from those problems. However, it didn't matter. So the Void have been, I think they were kind of involved at N1, and one of our particular missions was defiling shrines. So the big change now is that incursions have objectives, which make them objectively more fun. But the the players have basically set up shrines to all the different gods around Haven because now that thanks to their partial but not full victory at M1, the scholar has been crippled and the other gods are looking for some love. So this was very much like a faith-based event. And the Void were here to ruin the vibe. So we have got a anvil from the smith, and the idea was that we were going to bring it in, desecrate it in front of them, and then fuck off. So we form this big marching column, and because we're much more organized, we're more disciplined, we got this very cool Warhammer Fantasy experience where we were three wide and like 40, 45, okay, no, maybe about 30 deep or so, and had a drummer, a banner, and a captain. And we had this long
So cool.
snaking column, like dun 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 dun, as we marched into camp, just as the sun was just recently gone down. So it was super scary, loads of smoke, and for most of the players, they just haven't faced the void yet. So we're marching in purple blazing, and we tried to start taking this anvil around the side of Haven, round the back way, to reach one of the shrines that is, of course, on the other side to where we spawned. And the players are really unsure as to what to do because we're not just attacking one point, but actually rotating from lane to lane to lane. So some of them try and come at us, but because there's a lot of us in heavy armor, they're very tentative in attacking us. We have a few like rear guard groups that break off, and you know the thing like we do with the pine wheels, where you crouch behind your weapon and wait for the enemy to come at you. The
Yep.
Void had drilled on that, we had drilled on that, and it was so effective. 10 players to try and charge, 5 of them, they would just kneel and point their spears at them. The players would fuck off. So we start to get a good way round before a mob of players starts to mass and inevitably surrounds us, and we get attacked in different groups. But we have some epic last stands, we have some epic counter charges. The actual anvil itself makes it most of the way around Haven. Like 85, maybe 90% of the way to its objective. So it was actually really close for the players. And from a crew perspective, this gave us loads of hope that we're not just going to be wet noodles this time round. We're actually going to be able to pose a credible threat to the heroes. So yeah, we get this anvil most of the way around, get killed, get butchered, but we've shown the players we're here to party.
Business.
Oh yeah, down to business. The second skirmish, the second incursion, but noteworthy incursion of the evening, is a um, it's a free, I can't speak. It's a three-parter. We're going in to defile the shrines that are already in Haven. And your comment just now, Amber, around players not noticing us. What we did this time was we
Yep.
we took a longer route with some trees hiding us for part of the way, and then as we walked in, we were quite quiet, and they actually didn't notice us forming up for once. So we go in,
That's good.
and you know how each nation is a pizza slice. Maybe halfway down the pizza slice, there's a shrine with a little candle, and all we've got to do is go and defile it. So we walk in, smoke goes, drums start to kick up like da 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 da, and
No dear.
the players are genuinely shocked. They're like, "Oh fuck!" We hear one yell, "Oh fuck!" as the whole column comes out. We've got a full crew complement. We're ready to go, and we're walking in. The players come up to us, and because we're super disciplined Void, we just keep walking at them, and it totally psychs them out. Like these Void are almost identical to Cold Sun in terms of their combat doctrine.
Gosh, yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, and we walk up to this shrine, and it's at maybe as our priest comes forward and goes, "Let us desecrate this false god's home." One of the players realizes, like, "Oh my god, they're trying to break the shrine!" And they charge at us, and we do the whole. We turn left, front rank kneels, second rank puts their spears over the top, and it's like a hedgehog. And the player, bless them, I think they were Udriven, they run onto the spears, and they just get stabbed to death. Ever they just drop to the floor. They don't pretend like they've not
Jesus.
taken their hits or anything. It's the Menhirs Fate player base being objectively based once again, and she just goes and then just drops to the floor and starts to twitch and starts to scream. Um, we're all sat there with like these impassive looks on our face, but inside we're chuckling like it is. That was such a cool like Braveheart solo charge kind of moment, and of course this dramatically affects the morale of the other players. Some of them now realise just how serious it is, but none of them want to end up on the floor like their erstwhile
Like their
companion.
friend.
Yeah, it was literally watching the fear in their eyes. We were like, oh yeah, we're getting them. We're really getting them this time. So we actually managed to defile the shrine, and then we start to leave. And the players eventually mass and kill us again, but it's a good running battle. Nighttime lit up in the street, very thematic, lots of smoke. Us getting to say things like, "It is the end, embrace oblivion," as we like just walk into their lines, Terminator style. They now have
That sounds
the
like
gist. Sorry,
that
go on.
sounds like the kind of spontaneity they were going for with E1, just having it crop out of nowhere Um, is it true that they sort of rotated nations this time around as well? Like everyone sort of moved on over?
They
Um,
did, yeah. They're changing up the camp.
I heard that was a mechanic, which is quite cool.
Yeah, so it's going clockwise. So for things like incursions, we're usually going to enter from like the south or the west of the field because those are like near monster. And it would be unfair if one camp just consistently gets attacked and absolutely butchered because it's, it's quite literally the wrong neighborhood.
Yeah, I think it's very cool because if players are moving and like tent setups are different every time, like it'll make it a bit harder for them to learn of how like to defend themselves and like where they can make strongholds and stuff. So it's cool that you guys can just sort of crop up in the middle and then attack me sort of inside out.
Yeah, we had some super secret markers for where we would form up, and I won't say what they are on the podcast, but we had like pre-set areas we were getting to rather than just, okay, this is good enough, let's attack. It was very clear where the monsters needed to go, so it really helped us form up and actually have like a coherent attack.
It sounds important for this brief. They seem very like regimented.
Yeah, they were really cool. The stat lines, because we have super secret access to the crew Discord, um, we had more calls, a few more hit points, and just like the ability to actually defend ourselves. When we were playing Drudge as the Fallen, it was very much like, oh, just walk at them slowly and inevitably
Land,
die.
yeah.
Yeah, the night skirmish after that went badly because now the players knew what was going on, but we got them. Two bloody noses in a day. It
Objective complete.
objective complete. Yeah, it set us up as a real credible threat. Um, the rest of the evening is fairly quiet. We've got a few more like voidy things up in the woods. Um, we got to a bit of R&R, but honestly, we just kept cycling through, and we had quite a few costume changes. We had a lot of bandits around this time. They become a bit more important on the Saturday and Sunday, but bandits seem to be a big theme as well for this event. I didn't get to play any bandits on the Friday night, but they were doing the whole like trying to infiltrate the camp and steal certain things or um, like target certain players who've done something in game that makes them like a VIP. And then of course, interested parties are going to try and remove them. So we're starting to get like a job for the Court of Daggers. They're like doing close protection on people. They're starting to try and work out, are you from Haven? Are you a bandit? Are you from the Void? That kind of thing. So we're starting to get some nuance for the actual incursions as well. Very, very cool. Nothing eventful
Yeah,
Friday night. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say the important question, did Neep Neep, our favorite VIP, show up on the Friday or at all on the
No.
weekend?
No, I'm honestly, I'm really
Um,
struggling to remember Friday. Um, it was, I remember
it sounds
being
like you
tired.
had, I was going to say, it sounds like a bit more structured than our first Friday. I guess because people are falling into like the swing of things. Did you find crewing to be a bit more structured this time?
It was, yeah, like I think I've dived into the detail a bit too early. If I was to do the highlights for this event, we had slightly too many breaks. I know some people will disagree with me
Okay.
on that, but the we had a lot of you had the usual like hurry up and wait stress for skirmishes, but then we weren't utilized as well as we could have been. And it wasn't so bad on a Friday because it was just you avoid all evening, get stuck in. Yes, sir, no, sir. 3 bags full, sir. Um, an hour for dinner as well. But not for the food was fantastic last time, fantastic again this time. There was some drama with a bloody fox that stole a meringue whilst
Mm.
we were all just
Tell us
hanging out.
more.
Yeah, he stole our meringue, so I chased him around the field for 20 minutes. Fox had a great time. I had a good run. It was a very like human and fox bonding, almost diplomacy experience. But people were like, "Stop chasing the fox! What are you doing?" And I'd yell back, "He's got my meringue." And they were like, "Oh, get him!" Yeah, and just I don't know a thing about foxes, but according to Pete, they kind of bob their head a bit when they're playing, a bit like a nod.
Oh,
And this fox was absolutely doing that to me. So it was just running around me in circles trying to tire me out. And I think the previous weekend I'd watched like a documentary on Neanderthal humans and how like we're evolved to be endurance predators. So we jog something to death basically, wait for it to get tired, and then we kill it. Um, for some reason that was very prominently in my mind as I was running around trying to catch this fox, just wondering when it would get
Something
tired.
unlocked.
Yeah, and the thing
That poor fox.
it got tired. Hey, it got tired. It worked off that meringue, that's for sure, because it still had it in its mouth. It was just, it wasn't like it didn't run off to eat it. It just had it in its mouth, watched me, and then just ran in circles.
It was just trying to follow the Adrevan brief. It paid for its ticket. It was like, I'm going to go and be the little animal that they whisper to. And instead, it got greeted with, I don't know, some 5'7" bald man screaming him down.
Five foot
So
seven, bald.
I made an estimate. I
I
can't remember how tall you were.
well, you are 5'8".
I think I might be 5'7". I think I just thought of the closest height thing.
Are we the same height?
No, you're definitely taller than me. Not
Okay,
by much. I'm not gonna. Yeah, it's if I'm wearing shoes.
cool. Anyway, to be fair, your Matrix boots. Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, I'll do
Apart
it.
from talking about, the average height of a UK man and his ability to chase a fox. Yeah, I'm really struggling to make this entertaining. I'm so sorry, listeners, because the Friday night I can't remember anything important happening. Um, it's all kind of voidy. It's almost like I've forgotten. There's a void in my
You've
memory.
been a part of the what's that? I keep forgetting the name of the mechanic, and I love it so much.
The fading.
Everyone's forgotten everything. Fading. You've been a victim of the fading.
I have been, yeah.
Okay, maybe it'll come back to you the more you speak about the weekend. So, tell us a bit more about Saturday.
Yeah, so Saturday daytime, bandits start to become a bit more important, and there's
You get to play a
also
bandit.
I did, yes. So I did the bandits on the Sunday, but the bandits are like starting to become more important, and I'm like, oh, okay. So the plot for this event is that the sort of the Menhir and Haven itself has teleported to a frontline area in I think it's Hammerstadt.
Hammerstad?
Yeah,
Yeah, I heard that.
yeah. So it's the idea is like there are infiltrators and the area's a bit lawless because it's a war zone, and it's really cool how they kind of presented that through some of the skirmishes. Highlights of today are costume changes. Um, this is the that's we always try and be fair on this. The negative parts are it hasn't been seeded yet, so this is where I think some of the casual attitude towards the players kind of bit us in the arse a bit because we had an issue with players turning up late for skirmishes, so we had to cancel them. And of course,
Oh,
the crew are there and waiting. And what would happen is something would get delayed comms wise and it wouldn't be seeded into the camp, so the players wouldn't be ready to go. So then when it came to the spawn in time, like five of them had shown up instead of 50, for example. So then they'd wait for more, then they come on, and then we'd have to skip the skirmish afterwards. I think a couple we actually pushed together. But yeah, it was an issue over the weekend, and the same with costume changes. The worst was on Sunday. I'll touch on that later. But the amount of times we're told, "Oh, get into Void Kit." Oh, actually, no, you're bandits now. Oh, okay, no, now we need some people for this. Okay, no, now you're back to Void, and that started to increase as the timeline and as the schedule kind of got crushed just a little bit. But hey ho, it happens, right? Players are players, and plans are plans that never survive contact with the enemy. So with the Saturday daytime, we're fighting a lot in the woods, and there's three epic skirmishes, absolutely epic. Nation of the event goes to Kairos. So any Kairos listeners, you guys are all objectively incredible. My first skirmish with them was a miniature one. It was actually a gladiatorial battle. So
ooh,
what what's happened in Kairos is that there's two players, and one of the players, her backstory is that she's eloped from her wealthy family to be with her boy toy, I guess. The person she truly loves, called Draxos, who is an incredible. Not to dwell on it, or I'm not trying to give away anyone's personal information here, but this particular player is an extremely athletically fit man. I'll leave it there. Who was wearing like the classic Greek epic hero shorts and was topless and had lots of legs and some cool boots and cool tats and was luxurious to look upon, shall we say? Yeah, proper Kairosi hero. And so anyway, the that has generated some plot in the background. So myself, Elle, and Max, we get dressed up as gladiators. And the idea is we've been sent by this wealthy family to fight this ritual combat, fight this gladiatorial battle, put on a good show, and if we win, then we would be taking this other player back to her parents for a stern telling off.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Like the stakes feel very personal with that one.
Yeah,
It feels like a
Kairos.
very cool, yeah, big fan.
Yeah, Kairos is like quite a small nation, so their nation support and their I guess their nation lead team, their egregore equivalent, they've all got equal resources to play with, but because it's slightly smaller, I think they can do that kind of personal plot. They're trying to do
Mm.
it in all the nations, to be fair, but Kairos is particularly small, and that makes it easier to do. So we walk down, and I am playing the Fox. I can't remember my actual name, but all I know is I've got a red tunic on, underpants, and my boots on, and a fox mask. That's it. So I've got the legs out, got the arms out. It is boiling, by the way. It's like, 24 degrees, sunny, perfect LARP weather. Absolutely fantastic. And we walk in, they've actually set up a gladiatorial arena with banners. So we get to
Love
walk
it.
into their camp that's kind of like maybe like a Millennium Falcon shape or like a sickle cell shape, where it's like a curve with an entrance, and we get to walk in, and everyone's like, "Ooh, who is this?" And we're like eyeing them up and pointing at them and going, "Oh, you call these
Like, are you
gladiators?"
not entertained?
Literally, like, "Are you not entertained?" And we've got a ref with us, and it's going to be an actual fight in the camp. So everyone's got their. We'd come like a half an hour beforehand to seed the encounter. And in the meantime, they got chairs out, umbrellas. They'd formed an arena. They had snacks. They had people
My
taking bets and
gosh.
stuff. Yeah, and Draxos had been able to choose two mighty companions to fight us. So it was a 3v3 gladiatorial battle, and Elle and Max are both from the ILOP crew, so they've done lots of like literal stunts before and lifts and throws. And then the group we were against, they've done that kind of grappling before as well. I've done a decent chunk myself, so we all had a really good chat about what was and wasn't on the menu. But TLDR, this was full grappling, so we were able to like throw people, lift people, shield barge. We had some forward flips and stuff like that. Plenty of the patented Chris combat rolls and things like that. And what ensued was this maybe 8 minute bout, which doesn't sound like a long time, but it is when you're fighting, right?
When you're fighting, yeah, it's
Oh,
exhausting.
yeah, and like people pulling off helmets, people using shields and like choking each other out. Like had some backflips and cartwheels and stuff like that. It was this absolutely incredible mixture of dancing and fighting. It's a bit like capoeira, like
Epic.
Brazilian combat dancing,
Mm.
and it was such a proper like we had hit points, but frankly, it didn't matter. We gave him a bloody good fight, and like the whole, spinning the spear on top of your head. It was like in Troy, the film Troy, when Achilles is fighting
Yeah, yeah.
Paris at the front. Literally that for 8 minutes, 3 on 3.
And can you tell us who won?
The players did win.
Yeah, good. Okay, good. I was rooting for them.
Yeah, the we got a kudos at the end. One of us got killed. Jackson took off one of our heads, and we were like, "Oh my god, yikes!" I guess we did say to the death, but that is hardcore. And the other two of us kind of got to limp away. However, one of the players, a oh, what's the word? Promising young doctor, who is clearly new to Kairos, maybe new to LARP, right? Is like, oh, I could just sew their head back on. And we're like, oh, well, mechanically, yes,
Stein.
you can. That wasn't an execute call, so um, sure. And what ensues is a 5 minute head replacement surgery using like medieval tools and like magic and stuff like that. We, our gladiator brethren, gets her head back on, and we're
Yo.
like, okay, this is the ideal outcome, I guess. There's a nice big circular scar around them, but otherwise, we all get to walk away. And this medic will come back to haunt me later on in the weekend.
Oh no.
Um, Another highlight, or second highlight of the day, I say today, of the Saturday, was the Avaro hostage situation. So we're up in the woods, we're all void again, and we're told, right, the skirmish is Avaro and Adventurers Guild mainly. There's three of you are going to have to change into Avaro kit, and I got selected for that. And then pretend to be like captured by us, and we're a troll hunting party. And for some reason, we decide to go in very thick French accents. I don't know why, but we've we're on the field on our knees as the players spawn in, and then we start begging for our life. And then the void start whacking our heads off like golf balls. They're like, "Oh, you could be the first one to go down." Whack! Big crack, and then we slumped to the floor. And we thought, "Oh no! Well, at least the players are going to come and save us, right?" Because we could actually be brought back into Haven. We had some plot that we could drop as well. The players just stood there watching it happen.
God, they're like the French Open. Yes, please.
Yeah, they were maybe 50 meters away, and because of the spanking they'd got from the void the previous night, they were really afraid, like
Nervous.
palpably afraid, yeah. And they were just watching us get just get killed. They eventually started to advance, and it was more of a mixed group, and we experienced our first Kairosi charge. So they get this like very Greek shield wall. They've all got matching shields, and they start to go ho, 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 ho,
Oh,
until it reaches a fever pitch, and then they charge, and it is the most incredible thing to be on the receiving end of. It is so intimidating, it's so thematic, it feels like a proper battle. And also, it's a fantastic way to get people to charge, right? And there's all that anticipation, and you're under no illusions you're about to get your shit pushed in when this lot come for you. So that meeting the unbreakable wall of void spears, it was a really tough battle. But the players managed to get us out. Well, most of us out. One of us does get killed, and then we're sort of like running in and out of the battle line, trying to stop them. And it turns into this almost film-like swirling melee where you've got like groups of like 4 or 5 people fighting for their very lives, and like the lines have totally broken. There's random pockets of people running around. It was absolute pandemonium. The players kind of win. Like they get us out, which I guess is a technical victory. But again, I think they take a few casualties. However, our brother Pierre, Jean-Pierre, has
Jean-Pierre.
yeah,
Ooh la
Jean-Pierre
la.
he has died unfortunately in the line of duty of for Avaro.
Bleu.
Yeah, Sacre Bleu indeed. And this actually leads to quite a somber experience because as we kind of walk back into Haven with the players, they're half ignoring us. And we set him down, and players start to say, "Oh, is your brother okay?" And we're like, "Yeah, Jean Pierre is okay. He needs a doctor." And one of the others is asking, like, "Are you a physic?" And people are going, "No, I'll go get one." "Are you a physic that can like detect X, Y, Z?" And they go, "No, I'll go get another one." Jean Pierre's been dead for quite a while, and
Oh no.
when they eventually find the right doctor for Jean Pierre, they have to, we're very in sync, and we start to just go through with we just refuse Jean Pierre's death, and we're crying, and all the other players around us, like the Adventurers Guild, are like taking a knee and like chanting for the fallen, and we're in a mixture of like heartbroken rage and denial. We're like, he's not dead, he's not dead. And we're like, we've got all the money on us, we're trying to pay doctors to bring him back, and mechanically they can't. And it was such
Yeah.
a good bit of role play. Watching the physics struggle to not just it's not about the medical aid, it's the emotional side of things. And I think we really got to them. I think we really did. I hope we did. I hope they
Yeah,
didn't think we were just idiots.
I think that's really cool though, because my one of my worries was when we were playing, when I heard that we were going to be playing members of like different nations. Obviously, these nations have a lot of like bonding time, um, and it's like, will those deaths of people who they haven't necessarily got to meet in game mean the same to them? And the answer here clearly is yes. So it's nice that they're sticking, really tightly with their nation, no matter who wears the face of it, which is really, it's quite it's quite heartbreaking. It's really sad.
Yeah, there's as individual nations, they fight really well, and we're starting to see some of the adventurer guild skirmishes when there's like random groups. They're starting to get a bit more of an identity as well. So there's a wave at Kairos fights, there's a wave at Adrevan fights, but then there's also a wave at the Adventurers Guild fights as well. And it's really cool to see those different combat styles start to hit the pitch. It
And how
became
with the guild system? Are you?
Yeah, much improved from last time. Things like queues and
Yeah,
access to skirmishes, all of that sorted.
full.
Yeah, it came to the fore when skirmish epic skirmish 3 of 4 on Saturday was we're playing bandits. We're sat in the wood. We're kind of bored, and we're guarding a magical hat. I have no idea what this hat does, but it's woolen and it's very hot. It's an artifact they need to collect, and we're bandits who've stolen it. We don't really know what it is, and the players will, of course, arrive and take it off us. Now, I don't know if this is I think it's the Adventurers Guild again, but what happens in the woods? It's the most evenly matched fight I've ever been in at a LARP, and
Mm.
it wasn't like chaos. It was perfectly managed. We had It was bandits versus a smattering of players, and we had it was all about the individual heroes this time. It was like groups of 2 and 3 fighting 2 or 3 bandits, and there's arrows flying across. Some of the players have got crossbows, so we're actually firing bolts back and forth at each other. We've got bows as bandits as well, and it feels like almost like a game of rugby or a game of football where like the teams are equally matched and you've got all each team has the right tools for the job, and it goes back and forth across the forest. The role play is so cool. We've got some players who are like, they're backed up against a tree and they do the whole Aragorn thing where they kind of duck underneath a strike and then like strike up into someone's torso with a rend or a
So
crush.
cool.
Yeah, and they were like spinning in and out. We've got combat rolls and stuff like that. We're getting enough respawns as the bandits as well. Oh no, sorry, we get one respawn as the bandits, but we're not just getting cut down. We're genuinely fighting because we don't want to die. And each side is just, you can feel that they're on the edge of breaking, but they just don't give in. And it's this desperate slog. And the bandits actually start to win. And it's not even about skill, it's just like I guess the group morale of the players. And they start to run for the gate. We shoot a couple, and the players, of course, they take their hits, they go down, they start screaming. And then the players rally at the gate and they turn around and just like, we saw at E1 where we were pushing them out the
Have
forest.
that where they just came back.
Yeah, they turned around and went, I think the line was we refuse. And then they rallied
Oh,
and they
damn.
ran back into us. And then they chased us back to the other side of the woods, cutting some of us down. And it was such a cool, heroic moment. And yeah, Menhirs Fate has proven it's not just a one-off. It happens again and again and again. The combat system encourages cool fighting, and players are sticking to it. And it was so much fun to be a part of. Loads of bandits like trying to get their mates out, and like, no, like, go on, Ian, get Ian, stay alive, stay with me, Pete, that kind of stuff.
For clarification, the bandits, are they attached to nations or are they, more closer to like the Void and the Fallen as sort of enemy style?
Yeah, they are, I guess, like they're agnostics. They're not of particular nations. They're
Okay.
like generic brown and beige kit. I think red's kind of the color we're using to identify them, like little red bandanas. So they look very bandity.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not sure like what plot they specifically have, but they're really good for enabling like item-based plot. Yeah, they
Yeah, I
don't.
think that'll definitely come in handy with like the Adventurers Guild and
Yeah,
maybe even the Court of Daggers.
yeah, true. There was on the Saturday I had a little bit of downtime, so I was in Haven for when they were dispensing the winnings of the lottery. So you know when players submit their coin at the
Ooh,
end of the event,
did they have the big check?
it's a big wooden plaque, and it's just
My
you are a legend.
gosh.
It's just literally a one legend plaque that they then take with great fanfare and a bodyguard to the person who's won it, who is inevitably someone sat in their tent eating a hot dog. And then they take him over to the bank to get them issued their one legend coin.
I can't wait for someone to try and rob that.
Oh
It's gonna
yeah.
happen eventually.
Yeah, I was hanging out with Tiki for that bit because I was just a random guy. I was like Caleb, finder of things. I was actually a void cultist, but just playing it super low key, and trying to get paid for the job and stuff like that as well. Spreading some rumors that I'd already heard, and then just deliberately getting things wrong to kind of set two groups against each other. I won't describe
Oh,
it because it's
lovely.
active plot, but it was yeah, just kind of like muddying the waters a bit. It was cool.
You just can't help yourself, can you?
It's so
Mischief
much fun.
everywhere.
It's so much fun. You said it yourself in the last episode. You want your new Variscan character to have like a little, a little dash of mischief essence in the cake mix.
Yeah, it's just fun, isn't it? Things
It
you don't
is
get to
fun.
do in the normal day.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah. If I did it in real life, no one would catch me until 2 years later, and then I'd be arrested. But I mean, it's fate.
yeah.
I might die, but also I might get away scot-free, and that's much more exciting.
Might get a nice one legend plank at the end of it.
You do it
Sound.
literally. It's just people would refer to themselves as the legend. The Sildreven Hood
They're
one.
gonna start a club, aren't they?
Yeah, literally, he was like, I'm the legend. I am a
He's the
legend.
OG legend.
Yeah, the OG legend, the legends of M2. My God, they are the first legends. They are the OGs. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Yeah, there was none at M1. Oh, that's
quite
cool.
a title.
That is quite a title to get. Hot damn. So yeah, congratulations to those players. Um, Epic Combat 4 of 4. A Kairosi city. So I don't we couldn't really fizz rep this because there was meant to be like a bit of an archway in the woods. That didn't happen, or maybe that was a rumor. I don't care. The point is, this is a super hard skirmish against the Void, who've taken the Kairosi town or city, and the Kairosi heroes are there to take it back. They're told that it's like super hard difficulty. It's going to be very tough. You're fighting the best enemies. They will have a troll, and they are expected to lose, but they're going in anyway. So we have got the Void for this fight. There's about 35, 40 of us. And we have a Magma Troll, which is a brand new
Oh my
suit
gosh.
for M2 that looks epic. It's not as like tall as the troll we saw at M1. It's more like a helmet than like an arching hood in structure. But it's got like really cool like red and orange paint in the cracks, and it looks scary. It's really, really tough.
Like a lava monster.
Yeah, like proper lava and magma
Nice.
golem. Really cool suit. And with 30 of us, and we're mostly in heavy, and we've got calls. We've got the void special ability, and this isn't a spoiler because it was painfully obvious after 3 days of combat. Is a call of no escape. So we would get in snare as a call. And the idea is we use
Mm.
this when players were running away. So we would ensnare a couple and then job them. And it might not sound as good as a crush or a rend, but it meant that when we did win a fight, we always got people and we always had them left behind. So they were cut down, and there was every single fight with the Void was a question of how many of your friends are you willing to leave behind.
That's rough. I mean, that's me anyway. That's quite new because I feel like when you're on the battlefield and you're running away, you've got an almost like you feel safer that you're gonna even if you run away, you're still in danger. Is that's quite yeah. I'd feel very scared.
Yeah, it was. I don't think players realized it in the moment, but like as a broad analysis thing, they're like, oh,
Mhm.
so when these guys, if they start to win, they start to win quite hard, which is good because usually there's lots of monster factions in other games, right, where they're good at winning, and if they start to lose, they have nothing to do with it, and then they just get steamrolled, and that's it. But the void are a different thing entirely. So we line up in our battle line in the woods, and we engage the Kairosi. And this time they've got a mixture of like archers, they've got their epic shield wall, they've got like a bard playing in the background. So we have literal music, the symphony of destruction, you could say, as we start to clash with them. And these are savage, savage shield wall fights. Once again, we're getting almost hand to hand with the Kairosi. They're running around the sides. The Void aren't afraid to take casualties. They love it. That the whole point of them is it is the end. So we're dying in droves. We're getting shot with arrows and stuff like that. We're shooting back at them, and they form this like a 300 style shield dome. I don't know if you've ever seen 300. Quite an old film.
It's like the kind of like turtle shell one.
Yeah, exactly. They form that over one of the other Kairosi who gets shot, and then we try and assault it, and they literally use the whole stagger thing of a shield, and they stagger us back, and it's so cool because we run in, bosh back, and there's like 4 or 5 of us just repelled, and then they all stand up. The person underneath them has been saved, and they reform shield wall, and it's so
Oh,
elite.
nice.
It's so elite to watch, and again, like with the bandit fight I described previously, it's it's not about being evenly matched, but it is a grueling experience. Like the Kairosi are taking casualties, they're getting downed, their physics can barely stem the bleeding. And we start to slow down our respawns a little bit, but the whole point is it's meant to be hard. So we do a wave.
Their what's their physics to like fighter ratio? Because it sounds like they've got a lot of fighters.
Yeah, it's quite a small nation, but I think it's maybe 30% are healers or low com kind
Okay.
of vibe. Bit hard to tell because they're limited to 50 on the skirmish. But I think we outnumbered them ever so slightly. The first wave goes in, we eventually get scrapped, and they literally have to fall back to the gate, rearm and re-equip, and then just we hear them arguing of like, we can't let the city fall, and they're like, Bastilius, they're killing us. And like, well, we need to kill them, and that's when the second wave comes in, and we have a magma troll, and we hear them just go, oh shit, as it just goes wah 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 wah, just like runs staggering into the line. And because it's a hard skirmish, we don't just let the monster suit go in and get whacked in a city circle. We support it. So we go in like an arrowhead formation. We barge through. Their shield wall is broken, and there's like this. All of these tiny little miniature combats kick out. At one point, there's like 3 Kairosi like literally kneeling with a tree behind them, trying to protect each other because they've all got shields. They're like stabbing sideways. There's like waves of the void troopers are trying to come for them with some Kairosi archers off in the woods at the side, desperately shooting these void soldiers off them. And I remember watching that happen. I was like, "Oh my god, that is so cool!" And I was like, "There's literally bodies piling up in front of their little position, and the looks on their faces, that they're not, you, they're not like afraid anymore. They're stern. I think they might be terrified, but you can see that every single Kairosi player fully believes they're fighting for their city, and they're so in for it, and they're so ready to die for it, and their grit and determination just keep shining through. Because as monsters, we're having OC chats when we respawn, and we're like, they can't take much more of this. They just can't. Like, look, they keep giving ground. They finish off that wave. They have to reform again, and there's a few more voices this time of like, we Bastidius, we cannot do this. And they're like, no, we must do it for the city. It is in flames, and we shall win this day. So then we hit him again. We hit him with the troll. We hit him with another 2 waves, and we say like, this is it. This is all we're going to respawn, and if they win it, then they deserve it. And it's another epic clash. People have run out of lots of weapons have been shattered on their side, so they're using like knives and stuff, and like two of them are piling onto us and like stabbing violently away and things like that. The archers have started to run out of arrows, so they're pulling their swords in. Even the physics are like
Like a
using their
scrap.
staves just like bonk us, and it is it's kind of like it's gone from an epic Greek shield wall to almost like a scrap out of The Walking Dead or something like that. And there are
Sounds like
so
very
many bodies.
survivalist.
Yeah, and there's so many bodies. There's no like honor of combat or people yelling orders. It's just a visceral and desperate fight to survive. It is,
You know what the body count was?
I don't think they actually lost too many, you know, because their physics did a sterling job keeping them alive. But the amount of them like taking, they all took their rends and crushes and stuff like that, and they would go down. But then their fellows, instead of backing off, they never gave any ground. Like, if you want to step on my friend, you're gonna have to kill me too. And it was so cool to fight against them. Like all the crew afterwards were like, that was possibly the best LARP fight I've ever been in my life. That was so
Oh.
cool. And they rightfully and deservedly won the day. That city was saved, and they managed to limp off the field with most of their players, most of their
Oh,
characters, I
Kairos.
should say, most of their characters.
You'd hope all the players come away.
Yeah. However, as I'm lying on the floor going, the end is nigh. It is my end, and it shall be yours soon. A certain young and promising physic from Kairos shows up, who is the one who did the head surgery earlier. And I think it's their OC parent or something with them, and they're like, oh, yeah, be careful of that one, meaning stay away. And this visit takes it the other way, and they pull out a little LARP scalpel, and they just repeatedly stab me 30 times in the heart. It's like an execution, but it's like a proper stabbing frenzy, and it's the most savage thing. And I was stunned and died and went bleh. But I don't know whether it was just a sense of mischievous violence inside this particular player's head, or whether the battle had been that traumatic, but now like a 15 or 14-year-old is suddenly like become a hardcore killer because of that fight.
Maybe
um,
maybe he wanted your liver or something for like a scientific experiment. Yeah, he was
maybe
trying to get samples.
like it wasn't even like psychotic. It wasn't like medical or crazy. I can't describe it, but there was a primal savagery of the fact I was still alive was an insult to him, and he wanted me dead as quickly as possible. Epic fight.
Scary.
Yeah, real scary. I was like, oof, not fucking with you. So I guess that wraps up the Saturday fights. Oh, we did hit the hour mark. I thought I was going to struggle to fill this.
I mean, that sounds like a solid Saturday for fights. Like the gladiator one, I'm so sad I missed that. That sounds, I think, by far probably my favorite Menhirs so far that I've heard.
Yeah, it's those little touches, and I think there's going to be more of those in future for sure.
So,
I've actually got stuff to talk about on the Saturday night and all of the Sunday as well, on top of like some like everything up until this point has been reasonably good. We've had to do a lot of lugging kit up and down the hill. The wheels kind of come off on Sunday, but I'm thinking maybe save that for another episode because we're already at the hour
part
mark.
two,
Yeah, part two, despite saying there wouldn't be one.
just keep delivering.
Yeah, keep delivering. Cool. All right then. So I'm going to call that there with I guess, the Saturday afternoon kind of ticked off, and with Kairos winning an almost limitless amount of brownie points from the crew. They all said afterwards, safe fighters, epic fighters. At one point, one one of them kind of like did like a shield like sideways bash onto me, and I kind of like threw my helmet off by like as I fell, kind of pulled it off my head. Then they pulled theirs off and used it to like stove in my face, and it was like the
Oh
most
my
savage.
God.
Yeah, all done really safely. That's the thing. Is like this
Yeah.
wasn't like at the start of the fight. It was like halfway through, where everyone kind of got the measure of each other. Of like all of us here, we're LARPers, and we're seeing the stage side of things here, and just staving my head in bit by bit. And then as the troll comes up behind them and smashes them onto the floor, they do like an epic like 3 or 4 sausage rolls, like, just like pencil rolls on the floor to like show off the force of the blow, and they like stagger to their feet coughing, and it was so cool, man. Ah, man, I'm smiling. I'm actually smiling. Great fight.
Oh,
So yeah, we'll talk about the rest in another episode. Unless you've got any more questions about how cool Kairos are.
oh, I already knew Kairos were cool. I didn't, yeah. I think after the first event, because when I first read the brief, I was like, this sounds like a little slice of me. Like just the Greek mythology is something that I loved as a kid. Um, but now and hearing it like with shields as well, I'm such a shield girly, big fan. And yeah, I think if I was to go IC, it would either be them or a Dreven, I think.
Mm.
They're really creeping up my favorites
E4, should we join Kairos and jump in the shield wall?
list.
Maybe. We'll find out next time, citizens, on the Shattersong
Do.
Lark Diaries. Um, no, we don't have any
Right?
sponsors. Yeah, we don't have any sponsors. We don't have any announcements. Um, if you can give us, I'm not bothered about the like, comment, share, subscribe, share. If you want to, great. However, if you're listening to this as like a podcast version, if you can give us a 5-star review, that does help us because that is what advertisers care about as a metric, but quite significantly, and that will get us closer to having Raid Shadow Legends as a sponsor. So if you would mind doing that, we would greatly appreciate it. And if not, that's fine too. Do what you want. So now we're at the 010101 mark of this episode. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Oh.
Ciao!